I hope that's on there.
I don't know if we got it in there. I think we might have
That's
snuck that
on
in there. I think we snuck it in. Thanks, Anthony. Wow.
I said that at 2. I said that at like what he said 2. So
Yeah, but he was doing that weird like musician thing where they're like 5.
I'll know in a second when the stream comes up on my other screen here that I can see what happened in the beginning there. But how's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of season 3.
We won this
for the
one week.
last podcast. Yeah, we just missed 1 week. It's all
Kevin
good.
went on a vacation or something.
I went on vacation. It was wonderful. Guys, we snuck it in. It was well done. Oh, God, boys. When I do the countdown, pay attention.
We were. That's why we did it at that point.
I'm a guest here. I don't know the rules.
Yes, we are joined tonight by Anthony Cole, been a guest before. We'll be getting to why we have him on here in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about what happened a few weeks ago. The Super Bowl occurred, and it was kind of crazier than any of us had predicted.
That's not true. That's not true. I said it would be the under. I said it would be the under, and I said that the Patriots would win. Both of those things are on camera. My betting will reflect that as well because I made
Patriots
the bet
would win.
Yes, or Patriots, whatever, Buccaneers.
Pretty much
Tom
the
Brady,
same thing.
Tom Brady, whatever.
And also, you did not say that the Buccaneers would win by that much.
No, but I took the under, Kevin. So
okay, but could you let me finish my thought?
No,
my thought was.
No, don't say we all.
No
didn't
one
think that.
said.
I said
no
that.
one
Oh,
even came close to saying that the Buccaneers would win by as much as they did. They did, and the Kansas City Chiefs did not look good from start to finish. Patrick Mahomes didn't have time to breathe at all. Honestly, my take from that whole game is simply that they didn't allow their playmakers to make plays, and therefore they, couldn't capitalize on anything. And the Buccaneers, as they have done all year, did not make mistakes. So there was really nothing for them to capitalize on. So you combine those things, and it turned into a mess really quick. MJ?
I was right. That's all I have to say.
Oh, my God.
I was right. My betting reflects that. I also bet on Rob Gronkowski to score the first touchdown of the game. That paid off pretty well. But the one that gets me, I did first off, the Chiefs looked absolutely terrible. Did you see some guy? It was actually at the casino not down the street, but a little ways away from me. He put I think it was $1,000 or something down that Patrick Mahomes wouldn't throw a touchdown. At Charlestown, he put $1,000 down that he wouldn't throw a touchdown. It paid $57,000.
Jeez.
That's how much the fact that he didn't throw a touchdown was amazing. Also, Kev, just going back to what we talked about earlier, if the Bucs defense showed up, it was going to be their game. And that Bucs defense showed how dominant it was. The front four, they got whatever they wanted. The whole entire game. Their offensive line, I don't know what that offensive line was doing. That was terrible. But no, I mean, I'm sorry, man. You just can't bet against Brady in the Super Bowl. I don't care who he's played. And now that meme, Justin, that we talked about with the Russell Wilson comparison, both lost to Tom Brady in their first playoff appearances. Both won the Super Bowl in their second season, and then both lost the Super Bowl in their third season to Tom Brady. I mean, he's the GOAT. There's no way to put it. At 43, what he did in that game was outstanding. They actually had a decent running game going. The only thing that screwed up my parlay was I did a $10 parlay for about $1,600. The only thing that didn't come through was Tyreek Hill getting over 90 yards. Would you have thought that wasn't
all 8 bets?
Which Tyreek Hill could have got over 90 some yards if he wouldn't have been hit in the face 4 times. They picked the worst game of the entire season to have their worst game. Their line was a freaking sieve. I mean, they did have 3 linemen out, so what are you going to do? But
there's no excuse.
It got to the point where every drop back, it was like, oh, well, this is just normal that Patrick Mahomes has to run 10 yards back and throw off of no feet.
Dude, and imagine if it wasn't a quarterback that was mobile like Patrick Mahomes. It wouldn't have even been as close as it was.
It was ridiculous. But yeah, so I mean, I felt for Patrick Mahomes in that game. He put everything he had into it and was getting crushed out there.
Yeah.
But no, credit to the Bucs. Rob Gronkowski looked like vintage Rob Gronkowski.
He looked amazing.
What the heck was that?
He looked phenomenal, man.
Yeah, Tom did the what he had to do to get the job done, and their defense looked freaking nasty.
Well, that was the
Their
thing, man.
D-line
Like
is
the
so
first
good.
half of the year, you didn't know what D line you were going to get. Like we talked about this before. If their defense shows up, I'll go as far as to say they're in the top 2, top 3 defenses in the NFL if they play right and show up. But when they don't, oh man, I mean they can get their doors blown off. But
Yeah,
again,
their D line and linebackers are ridiculous. Like
oh,
I
man,
think
is it Devin
Sue
White?
is so underrated. Yeah.
Devin White's getting paid.
Yeah.
Yep.
As well he should.
Yes, absolutely. Anthony, what was your take, man? I mean, my bets came in, so I was happy to see that. But
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm gonna Justin's point about the Chiefs O line, especially with Eric Fisher going down. That was a major loss for them. Their O line hasn't been the same since, and yeah, that was bad. But no, I think that the Bucks, for my opinion, they coasted most of the season. I think they really waited until it was in the playoffs when it matters most. They went from 0 to 100 and really.
And I think
really
that goes to
stepped it up.
MJ's point too. I about it's hard to bet against Brady. I mean, that guy, like, he never in his career really hasn't ever shown like the outward signs of like that super crazy competitor aggressive. He just goes back and he's like, I'm going to do my business and I'm going to win. Like that's
I love the jawing during the game. I was all about
him
that.
and the Honey Badger.
I was all about that.
And where Tyrann Mathieu, Jussie Smollett at everyone, or Myles Garrett at everyone, and was like, yeah, well, he said some stuff that you wouldn't even believe, and then like deleted the tweet because they're like,
yeah,
oh, Tom Brady was mic'd up, bro. Like,
yeah. We heard what he said.
Another point that I noticed that I think is kind of a bit underrated, that I think the Chiefs need to kind of address a bit more is, do they really think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another running back?
No, their running game is
Like,
terrible.
Was Le'Veon Bell hurt? Was he hurt? Or was he just scratched?
I think
it was a healthy scratch.
Okay.
I think he saw that barber before the Super Bowl.
But yeah, I think the Chiefs need to reevaluate their running game too, because I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is.
They need to
I
do
agree with
something
that.
they need to do something on defense as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, true,
But to Anthony's point on Hilaire, I think even the bigger thing is like the Colts have been trying to use him as kind of their main guy. And the thing is, we've come to, discover that
the Chiefs, the Chiefs.
Didn't I say Chiefs?
You said Colts, they're big hoss.
Colts
Oh, well, sorry. There's a reason why I said the Colts.
Foreshadowing.
It's on my mind.
No, but Kev, the big thing they lost
especially
from
when
last
he gets to
Super
the
Bowl.
goal line. When he gets to the goal line, he's impossible. He doesn't do
Oh,
anything.
he got stuffed more than anyone I've ever seen at the goal
he's
line
too
this
small.
year.
No, but that's
he
the thing,
can't do
man.
anything.
Well, who was the guy from last year that I personally thought should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl? Was it Damian Williams?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Damian.
Yeah, he opted out of the season. I think they have him. That's your third down back or your goal line back, because he was punching people in the mouth all last year in the Super Bowl. I think.
Yeah, but they got to stop trying that with Hilaire because it doesn't work.
Yeah, he
No,
was
it
getting
doesn't.
beat up.
No, that was it. Honestly, man, I really did see the Patriots winning that game just because everything was lining up perfect. God, the Patriots! I can't.
Dude, we are. Did you and I have a stroke? Did you and I? Do you smell toast?
I don't have to tell you.
You smell toast?
I do actually. Oh man, I had a. I'll tell you this off camera, but I had something so weird happen this morning that I stopped for a minute and I got really scared. But anyway, we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh no, sorry. I was also going to say that it didn't also kind of look like, not to. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but it didn't look like Andy Reid was very focused in this game. I mean, he had that.
Dude, he went back to Eagles clock management.
He had that. I think he had that family like tragedy like 2 days before the game where his son got into that accident.
His son just like what happened?
Well, I mean, it's
This like in an accident. I thought it was just like a drug deal,
Dude, his son literally was drunk and high on Adderall, and crashed into a vehicle on the side of the road that was trying to help another vehicle.
That's right. Yeah,
with a 5-year-old in the car.
And
he almost killed
the
a 5-year-old's
fatally wounded. Yeah, like
is this
not
the
fatally
son?
wounded,
Is this the son that's had all the problems?
No, that's the other one.
He's
That
one
one
of the
died.
sons.
That one
Yeah,
died.
yeah, the other one died.
Oh, is that
For
funny,
this-
guys?
for this for the
What the-
city.
I mean, he's batting like 250.
Okay, all right, we're not. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
But anyway,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
I just want to make this point. If the Bucks keep
Oh
this,
my god.
it looks like they're going to be able to keep most of the same team together going into next year. I don't see a reason that they don't repeat. Honestly, they're
It's
going
so hard to repeat though,
Is it?
because the thing is,
We all thought the
imagine-
Chiefs were a lock.
But think
Well,
about
no,
it.
not repeat. The Chiefs got back to the Super Bowl, but if we watch the Chiefs through the end of their season and
Yeah,
through the playoffs, they
Even
struggled.
randomly
The Bucks
throughout the
did not.
season. They were like losing to the Raiders and then like
They
struggling.
barely
against
beat the
Miami.
Panthers. I
Yeah.
mean, it
They had a
was.
weird season. But I think the Chiefs, if they got right back, if you played that game 10 times and you get just different variations of healthiness, like if the Bucks line is missing 2 people and the Chiefs have a healthy line, I think you get like almost the opposite game. I think it's just
See,
like
I
so
would
weird.
disagree. I would disagree with that. I mean, the Chiefs do not have a good defense. Period.
Yeah.
And
With
the Bucks-
It's good enough to
95%
get
of
them
their
to where
salary.
they were, but I agree that it's not a good defense.
95% of their salary.
they're the opposite of the Rams. The Rams have a lockdown stellar defense and can't get a quarterback that can just manage the game.
Maddie
Well,
Stafford.
boys, let's use that as a
That's a big
segue to talk
big
about
sign.
quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Can we start with Matthew Stafford, please?
My virtual background doesn't work very well.
I was gonna say, it
but
looks
that says
great.
Colts.
Does
That says
it?
Colts.
What is that?
If you can tell.
He needs a green screen. Doesn't have a green
Yeah.
screen.
I know. Yeah, so Carson Wentz has been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich gets his guy, and the Eagles get a conditional second round pick and a third round pick. The conditional second round pick apparently becomes a first round pick if Carson plays 75% of the snaps and they go to the playoffs or something.
Now it's
Well, hold
75%
on.
of the
Oh,
75% of the snaps or 70% of the snaps and they make
And they
the
go to the
playoffs.
playoffs.
got it. Well,
So we're
add that on
screwed
to-
either way.
add that on top of the fact that that poor return, and they're sending a guy who the last time he worked with Frank Reich on a healthy season, he was almost the league MVP. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Boys, I'm going to give a very short take, and then I'm going to let you have this because you're all Eagles fans. Here's the deal. Eagles got taken here. They got swindled. They got Carson Wentz stolen from them by the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are now, in my opinion, and I'm pretty high on the Titans, they are absolutely the class of that division now. They've got a great defense, probably the best offensive line in football. They've now got a quarterback who, when healthy with this head coach, was an MVP candidate. I mean, this team is scary, and I really think that especially the return that the Eagles got for him, I get he didn't have a good year, his one bad year in the league, whatever, but the dude also got sacked 50 times. The Colts only let up 19
What do
sacks
you
this
mean
year.
one
Carson,
bad year?
hey,
in the
I'm
league?
not done. I will
What do you
give
mean
you
one bad
You're
year?
next.
One bad year.
You're next.
It's
You're
one bad
next.
year.
It's not.
It's
one bad year.
one bad year.
He got sacked 50 times. The Colts only let up 19 sacks this past season.
With
I think
Phillip
it's
Rivers
an
back
absolute,
there.
yeah. I think it's an absolute steal. I think Carson Wentz is going to do great in Indianapolis. I think this was the perfect situation for him, the only situation really in which he was going to thrive at that level. The Eagles are a moribund franchise at this point. They have no direction. Howie Roseman is the worst there is. The guy has no idea what he's doing. MJ, I agree with your statement earlier. I think that Jeffrey Lurie, there's some dirt that
There has
they know
to
about
be.
each other.
There has to
this
be.
has been an incredible disaster for the Philadelphia Eagles. MJ, take it away.
No, Roseman has to have like Epstein level dirt on Jeffrey Lurie. I'm sorry. How does that guy still have a job? He goes all broke to get you one Super Bowl, which every Eagles fan will be eternally grateful for. Thank you. But then you blow up each draft after that. We're in salary cap desert land, since I can't say
Oh, yeah,
it.
that was the other thing. What are you guys
We're
eating
still
from
$33 million.
30
dead.
33 million.
And
You're
check
telling
it
me you can't have that asshole on the bench for 30 million?
out.
Why not just have him anyway? Why
No,
would-
no. And do you know what's crazy, dude? If we would have kept him, he would have been what? I think it was like I think it was 25 million. No, what was it? Was it
Like very close to 33 million just to have him.
So we could have had him for X,
You're
and
so
then
angry.
he would have got 10 million.
It was 29 million this year. 29 million for
this year, and then 10
for
million,
this year.
and then 10 million guaranteed for next year that he would have got.
Yep.
So it would have cost us 6 more million just to keep him.
Yep.
But instead, we trade him, get a 3rd round pick and a 2nd round pick, and everyone's like, "Yeah, but it could be a first." And it's like, great, if he plays 75% of
The
snaps before they go to the
pick.
playoffs, we're getting the 24th pick.
Yeah.
And Roseman, if
But we're
he's still our
basically getting a
GM,
second.
will screw that up too. So it doesn't
And
matter.
it doesn't even matter about screwing it up. It's the end of the 1st round. It's basically the difference between a 2nd round and an end of the 1st round. It's the same freaking thing. They're not going to be the top 10 pick.
Like, here's the other thing. Justin, Anthony, I know you've both seen this. Ertz wants out. Why did we not include him in that package?
Well, the thing is, I think he really wants out now where they're just like,
Yeah.
Because
Getting
Carson
rid
was
of
his
Wentz.
friend.
And they're
every article I read, the last game of the season, the people that had the problem with Jalen Hurts playing was Kelsey, Ertz, and Wentz. And they were all sitting together on the sideline talking. Kelsey's getting older now, so
he's
whatever.
retiring.
Yeah, so
For
bye-bye.
sure.
But Ertz, like, how could you not package him somewhere to get a 1st round along with Wentz? Someone would have gave a 1st round for Ertz.
Did you? There was
yeah.
a package from the Bears.
From the Bears.
that
What happened
apparently
there?
Was Nick
No, the
Foles.
Bears stated that if Wentz didn't want to play there, they weren't going to trade for him.
So
Right.
then Wentz was vocal about
But
it.
there was like a deal for possibly, right? Foles, the 1st round pick, and Tarek Cohen, Tariq, whatever the heck his name is, Cohen. In 1, we turned it down, but 2, Wentz sabotaged it and was like, "I'm not playing in Chicago," which don't blame him. He's like, why would I go behind a similarly bad offensive line with similarly bad weapons and play in
But,
Chicago?
here's the
and they
thing,
get
man, if
trashed?
we're going to blow everything up, which just happened, we literally just blew everything up.
mhm.
Why do we still have Howie Roseman?
Well,
Why?
and that's my thing with Howie. We were talking about this in our group chat today. With Howie, he did the worst negotiating job in this of all time because basically he made it very clear from halfway through the season, we're done with this guy. Like, he's gone. We're shopping him. He was, in trade rumors all season. The whole Colts thing, we were talking about that in freaking November of this year, before the season was even over. So Howie made it very clear, we're trading.
Yeah, he
this
showed
guy.
his hand
If
100%.
you're a team that's trying to trade for Carson Wentz and he's like, give me 3 firsts, why would you just not be like, nah, it's cool. We're gonna give you a 2nd.
And Anthony, we're gonna let Anthony hop in here in a second,
Yeah.
but I just do want to throw this out there before I turn it to you, Ant. Think about also, so other than the fact that Howie showed his hand, Carson was so behind the scenes vocal about not wanting to be there that any team like the Bears was like, I don't want this guy if he doesn't want to play for us, because apparently he can cause all sorts of issues for us.
He's
Anthony,
a locker room diva. We've known about this for many years.
Yeah, that's where I was. That's my
Fake
whole thing
news.
about this is because
No, it's
Yeah,
not Justin.
what can you do as an organization?
Hold on to him. Pay him
And for what?
$4 Oh, you're telling me that a dude that's had a half of a bad season in Jalen Hurts, who had a good game, there's a chance that Jalen Hurts isn't the answer. So what we're going to do really is we're going to screw our entire franchise. We're going to pick freaking whoever's left of Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, or damn Trevor Lawrence, or Trey Lance, for God's sake. If we picked another North Dakota State quarterback with the 6th pick,
I wouldn't be mad with the Zach Wilson pick
we'll
if he's still there.
throw up blood. But
Zach,
we're gonna pick a
Zach
quarterback.
Wilson's the kid from BYU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
wouldn't be mad
he's
about
fine.
that.
But the thing is, we're going to pick up a quarterback in pick 6. We're still going to have the same issue. We're going to have no line. We're going to have no receivers. We're still going to have freaking trash defense, trash corners, and we're going to just be terrible again. And then guess what? 3 years from now, when Zach Wilson isn't anything because we don't do anything to put anything around him, then we're going to be like, wow, this Zach Wilson guy really stinks. Let's trade him for a 9th pick. Let's
Go
trade
ahead,
him.
Anthony. Go ahead.
let's let Anthony get in here. He's our
Get in here, Anthony.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but as I was saying, they, when you have a player that one doesn't want to be there, and two, 70% of the team is saying something about him, whether it's
70% are anonymous sources.
Justin, they're
Alshon
all anonymous
Jeffrey.
sources. They don't want to become Carson Wentz.
It's
Like-
Alshon
like-
Jeffrey and no one else.
But I mean, you also have like players like like Malcolm Jenkins, he's on the Saints now, but he literally flat out said that the organization treated Carson different than anybody else, and that rubbed players the wrong way. I mean, you can take Malcolm Jenkins' word for what it is since he's with the Saints now, and he didn't say anything back when he was with the Eagles. But in my opinion, Malcolm Jenkins' word carries some weight. So if that's the case, how can you have a player like that on your team no matter what it costs? Because you keep him there. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to compete with Jalen Hurts. He already basically said that the day we declared Jalen Hurts to be the starter. And then 3, you have players there who obviously came out and supported Jalen Hurts more than they supported Carson. So what can you do there in that situation? You're gonna have to trade him, and
Don't you think that you can, as a coach, the new coach coming in, just be like, listen, whatever you were treated like before, you're an adult.
But Justin, it wasn't a coaching. The coaching wasn't the problem. He was done with the organization.
No.
He doesn't like Jeff Lurie anymore.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is, regardless, you're going to eat $30 million if you get rid of him.
See,
If
we
you
could have
keep
done
him-
we could have done something else. I don't think we could have ate $30 million. If they would have kept him and said, "You're playing this year, like you're staying on the team, you're
Yeah.
showing up, and you're the starter," and he goes, "No, I'm not playing," start finding him every game. and
Yes,
get his
that's what I'm
contract
saying.
back.
But the thing
Yeah,
is,
we
I
could
don't
have done
think
that.
it was that serious. I don't think he would have said, if they're like, you're the starter, you're playing, we're paying you $30 million. I don't think he would have been like, no. I don't think that was even like in the cards. If we would have just kept him and been like, listen, you're an adult, you're going to compete for your job. We don't really care if you're going to, be trash, then we're going to fine you, like whatever, and keep him instead of getting because we need the insurance. Like Jalen Hurts, his style too. He's not set up to not get injured. Like he's throwing some punishing hits when he runs. Like he's a thick dude, and I think that'll be fine. Pause. But but I think that we really could have done with having Carson Wentz at the very least as a giantly high paid backup, or start out the season with him starting again. If he's terrible again, just do the same thing. We're going to be 4-11 or 4-12 next year, regardless. If we had Carson, we'd be like between 4-12 and 6-10. We're going to be that anyway. So why are we going to owe a guy that's not
And you'll
even
have a playoff chance.
exactly? Yeah.
Part of me,
So we're going to pay a guy that doesn't even have a chance at playing.
I'm saying it right now. The Giants are going to be the best team in our division.
I agree.
Hands down.
Probably.
It's not even going to be close.
I mean, and I don't disagree with you, but I mean, we're also talking about Howie Roseman, who he thinks he's the smartest person in the room, and
all because of drunk Jason Kelsey in a mummer's outfit goes, "He's the man," and it went right to his head.
Like there was an article on NBC Sports Philadelphia today that this evening that wrote the Carson Wentz era ended when Jalen Hurts was drafted.
Yes, it did.
Easily.
Like,
and
easily
I was on the Hurts train.
I was going to say, who defended that
You
draft
gotta
pick?
eat it now.
That
And the
guy.
I was on the Hurts train, and the thing is, I don't think he's a bad player, but
He's not
I
a
get-
starter
But
yet.
just,
And
but
I
ju-
get the
but
idea
problem
of,
is
like-
you can't draft him right after you get rid of Foles and say you're our guy. You
Right.
cannot draft his.
Yeah.
You just told him we're not going to draft you any help. You live. That's exactly what they said to him.
And
we're not going to
you-
draft you any
you-
help.
Sudfeld's the number 2.
and
was
when he's looking around the room and he's like, "You're telling me that at the second round pick, you couldn't have got me like a receiver, you couldn't have got me a lineman, like you're literally going to get
A CD
my
Lamb.
backup."
We couldn't have got Justin
Jefferson.
I mean that, but I even understand, like, he could be mad about that, but I even understand that, where you're like, okay, you got me a weapon in the first round, great. Second round though, you literally get a guy that can't be on the field with you. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, you didn't help
Because he's not like Jalen Hurts is definitely athletic in the sense of, he can be that dual threat quarterback, but he's also not a guy you can just line up at receiver and have like that double position kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
that's
so
not
weird.
him. That's
and the
not
thing,
him.
you don't want to at a second round.
No,
anyway.
no.
Yeah,
I
that
wanna
was
go
a
back-
messed up thing to do.
I want to go back to a point MJ said earlier. The organization also failed to understand like who Carson Wentz was as a player, outside, like off the field. Like we saw over the years, once Nick Foles won that Super Bowl, Carson Wentz continuously looked over his shoulder. Like he consistently looked over his shoulder.
It's a great point.
And you knew, everyone knew, even Doug Peterson knew at the time that they were going to have to get rid of Nick Foles in order for Carson Wentz to succeed. Like he flat out stated that Carson is my guy, like from the beginning, and it didn't matter. So then they had to do that. But then you have, and again, this also plays into probably why Doug Peterson was let go, is because then you have Howie Roseman, who saw that or hears that from Doug Peterson and said, well, no, I don't think so. And
almost worked to sabotage.
There's so much disconnect from the front office to the coaching staff. It's incredible.
Yeah. And like I get what MJ says too. Like there's a chance that I'm just a Wentz apologist and he is this diva and he is this horrible locker room cancer. But my thought is I always look at it from the opposite end. And I think Doug was trying so hard to make him feel like he was the guy, and everything that the organization did made it look like he wasn't the guy, if that makes sense. Like,
real quick, Kev, just to circle off that point, like, do we look back now? And I mean, we all said what we had to say about Doug Peterson. Do we maybe not know about all the crap he had to deal with from the top down? Like maybe he truly believed in Wentz. Maybe he was trying every day convincing him, hey, I don't have control over the draft. I don't get to say what we do here, but we're going to make you better. And it's hard for Wentz to buy into Peterson's system when everything above him's, they're not even respecting what Peterson's doing.
And when your system is Boston Scott, John Hightower, and Quez Watkins by the end of the year, and you're just like, what are we?
Well,
who is this?
They're the Cowboys, but not as vocal. I mean, that's every Cowboys coach has that problem because Jerry Jones makes all the decisions and says them publicly. Like,
right.
My coach just said this, I'm going to go on my talk show and say the exact opposite. Maybe that's exactly what's happening, but they're quiet about it. Like, they're not like Jerry Jones who wants the spotlight. So maybe Peterson every day was walking and banging his head off his desk on, I'm trying to make this guy work. I'm trying to get his confidence back, but no one's giving me any, like, we didn't even trade for anybody.
Well,
we didn't even throw our hat. We didn't even throw our hat in the ring for Hopkins. Like, what are we doing?
But if Lurie, but it still doesn't make any sense because if the organization wasn't behind, Wentz, like Jeffrey Lurie is the final say. Why did we offer him $128 million back then?
If we weren't gonna, but the thing is, if you do that and you look at every other quarterback that gets that kind of money, like what are they doing around him though? Like if you commit to that guy, you're saying 100% good or bad, you're our guy for the next amount, like however amount of years. So like what they did with Goff, they tried to put pieces around like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, like they put some pieces around him. Any quarterback that you give that much money to, you try to put pieces around and
yeah, but there's also
Jalen Reagor, John Hightower, and Quez Watkins around Wentz.
There's tons of stats to prove though. Once someone becomes a top 5, I think it's over the past like 10 years, 15 years, a top 5 paid quarterback has not won the Super Bowl because you can't afford to pay the rest of your team then.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like,
well, now we can't afford to pay the rest of our team anyway. For a guy that's not even here,
they paid Wentz way too early. They did not.
Well, let's take a look at this from the other side now. The Indianapolis Colts are getting a guy in Carson Wentz who, it's the mystery is really in the fact of, are you going to get MVP candidate year Carson Wentz, or are you going to get the guy who is coming off his worst year ever? Here's the thing. If they get the guy that starred with Frank Reich, they're going to the Super Bowl, or they're going to put a real good bid in it for the AFC Championship. They are that complete of a team already.
So good.
It's and that offensive line is unbelievable. T.Y. Hilton, you might see a revival of his career. I mean, there's some real.
That guy was the biggest disappointment last year.
There's some real excitement to be had in Indianapolis, and I want to throw this out there as kind of the question here. Dan Orlovsky, who has been the biggest Carson Wentz supporter through all of this, former NFL quarterback, so he knows a bit more than we do about what to really look for.
For the Lions. He was a former NFL quarterback for the Lions. I want that.
Still an NFL quarterback. Anyway, Dan Orlovsky, his whole thought is he is now saying Carson Wentz could be the MVP this coming
All
season.
right,
Like that's
No,
I know,
absolutely not.
hey, I know, and I'm saying I think that's a little too crazy. But again, if he plays at the level he did with Frank Reich, I think the Colts go to the Super Bowl.
I don't know if he
I-
physically can.
I bet top 12.
I think that ACL injury basically destroyed all of his quick mobility that he once had.
Yeah,
you
his
saw,
running's weird now.
unless he
Very
does something
limpy.
different or it's all psychological. I just don't see.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not going to be sacked 50 times this year either.
But here's also the
he's
thing.
running for
I
it.
think one of two things happens in Indianapolis. First off, they're not going to rebuild him overnight. I think that needs to be understood right out the gate.
course.
If he's if he's that upset and disappointed and the basket case that they're claiming he is, which I don't think he is, it's going to take some time. They may struggle the first 4 weeks of the year, which is okay. They're still trying to figure stuff out.
Will it be okay?
I think it will be. Now, here's
Yeah,
the
because
thing,
I don't
though.
think the Indianapolis media is as garbage as the Philly media.
Yeah,
where if he
but
struggles
here's the other thing you need to look at too. The one thing the Colts didn't do last year was turn the ball over. So if he has the same turnover troubles he had this year, I think the Colts players will turn on him because their defense is stout. They're off. They're going to be like, you have no reason to turn the football over.
Well, and I'm wondering that's a good point. Because I'm wondering what the Colts players feel right now. I'm wondering if they're excited to be getting him or if they're like,
I think it's 50-50 optimism. If this guy
you have to be.
Could be.
You have to be optimistic.
If he can be a game manager or better, the Colts are going to be great.
Yeah.
Long as he doesn't, if he turns the ball over again, there's no.
He
excuse.
needs to at least be a Tannehill.
You can't turn the ball over. There's again, like I said, you have the weapons, you have the running game, you have the line, if all those other pieces are playing up to their standard and you're turning the ball
and
over,
that's a good point because throw the fact that he was getting sacked out of his mind this year. There were moments where all of us agreed his football IQ does not look.
Yeah. I mean, he held it too long a lot of the time.
Really bad.
Dude, he had the Big Ben problems for the couple years that Ben did.
And then do you
He's
think
on the ball way too long?
Do you think though, if you go to a franchise that isn't actively drafting your replacement in the second round, that doesn't have a freaking GM that is actively trying to force you out of a place, do you think that if he has that fresh start, that he's less likely to be hero ball and just play football again? You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
He was trying to make a play every single time up until he got benched this year. It's not like he was forcing balls into places they shouldn't have been, but he was trying to make the big play every time.
You can watch a 2-hour highlight reel this year of him missing wide open receivers all the time.
For sure.
Completely overthrowing wide open receivers.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Or there's another wide open receiver streaking down the field and he goes a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So that's concerning.
I think Carson Wentz is going to be similar to how he ended 2019. I think that's going to be a very
top 15
I think that
quarterback.
I think that's going to be I think that was a very solid.
That makes the Colts good.
I don't think he's MVP caliber by any stretch of the
imagination.
No. Not next year. I'm not saying he couldn't get back to that. But you know what I think he may win next year is comeback player of the year, honestly.
Yeah, I can see, and think about if he has any of his career years other than this year, if he has a 23 touchdown, 7 interception season, if he has a 28 touchdown, 7 interception season, that's not MVP level. But if he gets
you're a top 15 quarterback.
You're a top 15, top 10 quarterback.
Which if you have a good supporting cast, you're fine.
And
I think the MVP next year is going to be Josh Allen. I really do.
Probably.
Also, there is one thing that people aren't talking about, and it may seem minor, but I don't think it is. He was so great in college playing in a dome. Now he's going back to Indianapolis where he gets to play all of his home games indoors. I think that's going to help him.
He played for North Dakota State, didn't he?
And
yes,
on the plus side,
I don't care if they played on a high school field. He played for North Dakota State.
On the plus side too, for him, he gets to play against the Jaguars twice a year, and he gets to play against the Texans, who are going to lose to Deshaun Watson soon here. So that'll be fun.
So in all, a lot of it, Carson Wentz has always been defined in Philadelphia by having to live up to the shoes of Nick Foles. I think that's 100%
Yeah.
like been Carson went. Like that's how he's been defined in Philadelphia. A lot of it is psychological. I think it was all this, you know, being the guy, going 11-2, tearing his ACL, watching, the backup quarterback win the first Super Bowl for the franchise, which was he was supposed to do, and then come back.
People don't talk about that enough.
Get hurt again. Watch
that
Nick
must
Play with a broken back, perhaps.
with the broken back.
That must have been the worst, coming off such a great year and watching Nick Foles win the franchise's first Super Bowl.
And then
that had to suck.
Come back on a restructured ACL, break his back, then have to watch Nick Foles carry the team again to almost another NFC championship.
Play through it up until the end of the season because he was trying to just hide it so that he was like, Nick Foles was not taking them to another Super Bowl. Like, I got to do this.
And then we're literally a catch away.
Then we're in Alshon Jeffrey
then,
saying that Carson Wentz is a garbage person and then dropping a freaking
Then we get rid of Foles. Things start to look up. He turns the corner a bit. When our team gets decimated by injury again, carries us to the playoffs. And then within the first 3 minutes of the game,
speared in the back of the head.
And they don't call a dirty hit. They don't call
it's concussed. All right. So he can't he still hasn't played a playoff game to this point, a full playoff game to this point, going into his fourth year. He gets his money. And then 6 months later, the GM just drafts is essentially his replacement. Like how
you watch
like,
your mouth. Howie Roseman drafted Arcega Whiteside and it worked out brilliantly.
Like psychologically, how could a person handle like
that is a lot?
And then you got to think about like maybe he is being a diva in the locker room, but does he have cause to be? You know what I'm saying? Like if he's walking into the building every day and he's like, "What are we doing? Like why?" Are we?
And he's also playing in the worst sports city on the planet when it comes to if you're not doing well.
Yeah,
everyone will let you know you're not doing.
It's really
and honestly,
Eagles football fans
even
and
if
Yankee
you're doing
baseball
well.
fans.
we were going to
bad.
NFC Championship to NFC Championship every single year, and people were like, "Yeah, but this whole Reed McNabb thing is kind of trash, right?" And you're like, like right now, I take NFC Championship every year. I would 100% take NFC Championship every year over one Super Bowl and then a bunch of 7-9 to 4-12s.
And that's the sad part, man. Like, that we're in such a bad division that we're competitive every year. Like that makes no sense.
Well, boys, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all pans out. And
I am buying a Wentz jersey. I might even.
Where do the Eagles go from here?
Down.
Hell, what
do we even do?
Who cares? It's over.
You're not going to. You should not draft a quarterback. Stop wasting.
Oh, we're drafting a quarterback on 6.
I
wouldn't be mad at Zach Wilson. I'll be mad at anyone else.
No, we don't need to draft a quarterback with number 6.
That's. You have so many problems. And now here's the thing. The quarterback was a position where it really wasn't your biggest issue.
No,
and now you've got to worry about that too.
Because literally if we would have kept Wentz, worst comes to worst. Let's say he had a bad year. He's not a bad player. Like
right, exactly.
On your roster.
You're now taking another position group and being like, crap. Now we got to figure this
what
out.
If we just put everything on Jalen Hurts?
And our salary cap is a mess.
Oh, it's such a mess, dude. It's God.
Like seriously, I go back to what I said. Howie Roseman has something so good on Jeff Lurie that Howie could walk out and take a crap on the logo and not get fired.
If Jeffrey Lurie mysteriously dies, we have to know that he didn't do it to himself.
Oh, that's
well, boys, we'll see how this plays out. Let's get into our last things last here, though.
Big brain.
So Anthony, did you come up with the last things last?
Give me a second to think of something.
All right, MJ, we'll start with you.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah. Is it going to be about your Pistons and Blake Griffin?
Well, I actually was thinking about talking about that.
They need to trade him.
He's coming to Miami, maybe?
About time. No, my last thing is last actually is about Draymond Green's rant the other night. I understand what he's saying. Yes. I understand the double standard. Like the team decides that Andre Drummond's going to sit now until they can trade him. And then the Rockets, Harden was basically like, I'm done until you trade me. I'm tired of hearing billionaires complain to millionaires and millionaires complain back to billionaires when they're playing a child's game. Like, I get you're unhappy with your team or like that, but you're doing thousands of people's, probably millions of people's dream of playing in the NBA. Like, get over it. Or when you do your contract to begin with, know these things can happen, so structure it accordingly. Like, maybe you have to give up some money to get control. Like, look at LeBron James's contract. I know he's the best player in the league, but he has complete control of whatever happens. They can't trade him without his approval. They can't do anything without his approval. And if he wants to walk, he can. I'm sure there's a way he could walk. And with the money, that's the other thing the teams are going to realize. With the money these guys are making off the court now, the salary is almost a cherry on top to what they're making.
Yeah,
so,
they don't need to play.
yeah, I'm over it. Like, there's people with real problems, and these aren't problems.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm tired of hearing about it. Like, and I'm not saying that the whole shut up and dribble. That is not what I'm saying.
No.
But like,
I think that's a valid point.
like, if you don't want to be on a team, like, do it behind like in the background, talk about it, and say, hey, like, here's the things. I mean, Houston, that was their fault. They gave him complete control, and then they stripped it away and wondered why that happened. But
Right.
Cleveland, they got Jared Allen. Jared Allen's doing better. They're going to get rid of Andre Drummond. So you're not going to play him so he doesn't get injured, so you can get something in return for him. It happens. He got replaced. But the Draymond Green rant, like, again, I understand what he was saying. I don't 1,000% agree with it. Also, Kyrie Irving needs to stop being so weird. The Moses staff he walked into the game with the other night. What
I think
that?
he's just being weird to be weird. Like,
He is weird. It's just him.
But no, I'm with you to an extent. I get what Draymond's trying to say in the sense that, like, you know, there is a small double standard, but I think you also have to look at it as any boss employee relationship. Like, if your boss or your, like, the kind of higher ups, they're always going to have, you know, kind of a little more leverage until they don't. So can you do it quietly instead of publicly going out and, you know, trashing teams or doing whatever these players are doing? Harden had no position to do anything.
Yeah.
They brought in Russell Westbrook for him. Like, he basically asked for whatever he could get. Asked for Chris Paul.
He ran the
Chris
team for
Paul.
basically 6 years, and they got nothing.
Yeah. Asked for
Like
Chris
that
Paul. They
game
got
where
him
they
Chris
missed-
Paul. He's like, nah, I
That
don't
game
want him.
where they missed 23 3-pointers, that's on you. That's not the coaching. That's not the management. That's on you.
Yeah. So I think I get what Draymond's saying, and I think that it does happen in some cases. But I mean,
But the fact that Draymond said it bothers me even more because he's the same guy that, you know, calls LeBron James all sorts of names when they're playing each other, hates him. But, oh, wait, your best friend can get me paid through Clutch Sports? All right, I'll let him be my agent. That's fine.
yeah,
No.
they're good. Yeah. And to a point, I think, and I mean, it might be good and good for him, I guess, but Draymond's kind of becoming like the post-game rant guy now. And I
Yeah.
feel like now it's almost falling on deaf ears where, like, I saw he was doing and they're like, look at this fire from Draymond Green post-game. And I'm like, oh, is this from like 2 weeks ago when he said that thing about, and I'm like, no, it's a different one. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to listen at this. Like, what are we, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
Also,
Justin,
Kev,
what's
one-
your
one more thing to throw on top of that. I'm going back to the one I had 2 weeks ago. Nate Diaz, either fight someone or stop talking.
oh, I just watched this whole like 45
You
minute thing
don't.
with
You do
Ariel.
not deserve to fight for a title or a top tier fighter right now. You have not
Agreed.
fought enough. Not saying your talent isn't there, but you have not fought enough to demand what you're demanding. I'm so tired.
Did you
of
see
it.
what he's demanding to? He's demanding Dustin Poirier, but he wants it at 170. He's only taking fights at
You can't
170.
demand
So
weight.
he's like, I'm not going down to 155 again, but I want
Ah.
Dustin Poirier, or there was someone else that's at 155.
And then they made Dustin Poirier apologize. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oliveira, I think he said he'll fight Oliveira, but he'll fight him at 170. It's like, he's not a 170. What have we
You
doing?
don't get to pick terms right now.
No. And also,
Ugh.
I saw this argument going around. Usman did killer last weekend, but I'm sorry, GSP still at this point has a better legacy than Usman.
Oh yeah,
It's
GSP's
I'm
my
sorry.
guy.
It's 12 title
Just-
defenses, 12 title defenses.
Justin, what's your last things last?
Kind of just stemming from what we had talked about, was thinking about it the other day. Any top Philadelphia athlete, if you think about it, gets the most garbage from us. So Wentz is like our, top quarterback. Who's the, one of the best players on the Sixers?
Ben
Embiid.
Simmons.
Ben Simmons. It's either love or hate. You're either on the Simmons train or you're like, this dude can't shoot. He's garbage.
Claude Giroux.
Hockey, Claude Giroux. I
hate
hate Claude
him.
Giroux. A lot of people love Claude Giroux, but there's no one that's just like, he's a decent player. And then baseball, Bryce Harper. Some people
Harper.
are like, totally worth the money. Other people are like,
Right.
oh my God,
Yeah.
we're the worst team of all time. Why would we not just go all out for Trout? Like, why can we only get all or nothing players? Why are our best players all either great or garbage? Can't they just be like no one looks at Mike Trout in LA and they're like, oh, this guy, he can't win anything.
Dude, speaking of though,
Just
like
yeah,
the
good
poor
player.
Phillies,
That
JT
team.
Romuto has now fractured his thumb after signing that deal, so he might not be ready for opening
You're
day.
taking my last things last.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna ask, do you want my Sixers last things last or my Phillies last things?
No,
last?
give me the Phillies one.
Do both. I'd love to hear
All right.
your Sixers so I can rip it apart.
No, all right. So my Phillies last things last was gonna be that the organization is just cursed. This absolutely just cursed. You spent months like flailing in every single
They
way,
literally were.
praying to whatever God you need to pray to get Real Muto on the team. We sign him. All is well. Then 5 minutes later, he is injured and can miss the start of the season.
You gave him so much money.
Seriously? What
I mean,
what do we have to do?
Philly specializes in giving money away. It's
What
okay.
do we have to
I was gonna
do?
say, between him and Carson Wentz this year,
Not
we'll be
to
spending
mention-
$60 million.
not to
on people that
mention-
don't play.
While I think getting Real Muto was definitely a worthwhile cause, the pitching still is a problem that has not been solved in Philly.
Can we
and is
talk
really
about the
what stands in the
Dodgers
way.
pitching?
Dude,
Oh, how
That's-
it's a cheat code and
dude.
how baseball. doesn't
That's
have a
Michael
cap, so
Vick,
they're just
Madden
like, eh.
04. That's
No,
what that
That is why baseball needs a salary cap.
Yeah.
That right there is why baseball needs a
It's
salary
like, what
cap.
if we just get more pitchers?
Their fifth
only have
pitcher, I
5
think, is David Price. I think is their
The
fifth guy.
Dodgers are the new Yankees. The Dodgers are the new Yankees. We're just gonna buy everything. And the Yankees are still buying everything. Like that's the crazy.
Yeah.
Anthony, what's your Sixers last things last? I'd love to hear this.
Well, it was a mixture of in the last like 10 games that Joel Embiid has played, he's averaging like 34, 10 and 34, 12 and like I think 6 assists or something like that. Do you guys think he's an MVP? He's the MVP?
No, LeBron
No.
James is. No, not even up for debate.
Seriously?
Embiid will not do that the whole year. LeBron will
He's going
average.
to explode if he doesn't.
LeBron will
play.
average 25, 8, and 8 the whole year. Embiid has never put together a full season of being a dominant big man. It has not happened.
He looks
goes
great.
the whole
Hurt.
season.
Either he gets hurt or he just doesn't do it. I don't.
If he
get
goes the whole season like this, then maybe
Then you can at least make the argument.
you can make the argument. And then I think that you're looking at him, you're looking at Giannis, and then you're going to look at LeBron. And I think this is probably finally the year where they're just like, all right, dude, year 18, 28, 8, and 8. It's like, let's just,
Dude, I was
let's
looking
give it
at
to him.
LeBron's stats over the past 10 years. I don't think I'm far off by saying he should have 9 MVPs at this point.
No, for sure. They
Like
just get
9
tired of voting.
MVPs.
And they're like, oh, Russell Westbrook gets these like
Triple doubles that mean
triple
nothing.
doubles that mean nothing. And like,
Oh,
fighting
James
against-
Harden scored a ton of points, but they have yet to do anything.
No,
That's the one thing
a
I agree
Harden
with Max
hater.
Kellerman on. I don't agree with Max Kellerman about pretty much anything. There should be 2 MVPs. There should be a playoff MVP, and there should be a
like
regular
a
season.
full. Oh,
Like a
I would
full
like.
playoff.
I'd like a
Actually
full
like that.
season. I'd
Yeah,
like
because it's pretty much a full
playoffs
season,
MVP.
and
Yeah.
over half the teams make the NBA playoffs. I
Yeah,
mean-
and you have Finals MVP, but like,
Yeah, but that's just for that series. I mean, you
Yeah.
could have a team that loses the finals.
Hell, baseball has an MVP for the pennant
Yeah.
for the season, for the pennant, and the World Series.
Yeah, see, that's how
I'm-
it should be.
yeah,
I like that.
there should be an MVP for the playoffs.
Because like
I'm sorry.
Lillard would win it like half the years because he'll just
True.
go
Yeah.
up like
Lillard would.
45-8 every game and
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah,
in the
no,
second.
Embiid, man, I can't buy it because it's not consistent. It's
True.
10 games. That's 10 games. Right, great. I'll give it to you. But
He's been impressive.
he's always had stretches like this. But like he goes back to being the guy that shoots threes for no reason. Like stay on the block and dominate because no one can guard you. No one.
They're the
Yet he
best team in
won't
the
do
East
that.
right now by far, though.
But so yeah, which leads into my last point, which is
I wouldn't
kind
go
of
by far,
it annoys me. You know, you start off the season, all these trade rumors for James Harden and stuff. Ben Simmons looks like
That would have
absolute
destroyed
crap.
your team.
Absolute crap. But then once we don't trade for like Harden, like we see a whole new Ben Simmons to the point where he literally with Embiid out the other day just drops 40. He just drops 40 easily against the Jazz. Like
And the
where-
Jazz are like
Ben,
possibly the best
what are
team
you
in the
doing?
West.
Like if you literally play like that every single game, you don't have to drop 40. You don't have to drop. You like literally playing like that and dropping 15 to 20 a game. You're one of the best players in the league. Like, come on, man.
I mean, Zion Williamson already has a better jump shot than Ben Simmons. That should tell
We
you.
know
everything you
that,
need to
but
know.
he doesn't like. But he doesn't need to shoot with all the shooters we have now. Like
But
he just needs
but he
to.
does.
Seth
he does
Curry
need
was
to
such
shoot
a
though.
spicy pickup.
That was the best pickup you had. But no, he does need to shoot, Anthony, because in the playoffs they do the exact same thing they do with Giannis. You're not driving into the lane.
Disrespect.
You're not driving into the lane. We're gonna put everybody shoot. We'll leave you right there.
Speaking
Until
of
he develops a mid-range jump shot. I don't even say a three-pointer. A mid-range jump shot. He's the easiest guy to guard in the playoffs.
Speaking of disrespect, Anthony, while I have you on here before I give my last things last, I wanted to ask you this question because I don't think we asked you when we had you on when MJ and Justin were having this argument. But we were talking about, past NBA players and, their strengths and everything. And it came to the point where Justin said Ben Wallace wasn't really that great. And MJ about had a cow, which, well, he should, because I think Ben Wallace was absolutely dominant.
He's
But
good.
Justin does not think he was that good. So I'd love to get
Fine.
your
Ben Wallace, he was like,
You know what he has? More titles
Ben
than the
Wall-
Sixers do in the past 30
Ben
years.
Wallace. Ben Wallace was the next.
Aldi's Dennis Rodman. I get it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ben Wallace was the next closest thing to Shaq we've ever seen.
To Shaq, he said.
Shaq, yeah,
Anthony,
to Shaq.
no, all right, I'm turning it
Shaq.
off. I'm turning it off. A dude that averages 7 points in his career for like a game, and you're like, this guy's Shaq. Like, what? No. Wait, no. I can't let this happen. I can't let this happen. He was Dennis Rodman. Like,
Why are you saying that like Dennis Rodman was bad?
I think he's
One of the
good.
best rebounders
He's
ever.
a great rebound, and Ben Wallace is a great rebounder, and he was a formidable defensive player. And
Formidable?
He was all NBA. He was all NBA, not formidable.
He was a great defender. I just don't think that he was that good as a player overall. I wouldn't say Tony Allen's a great player, but I think he's a great defender. I think he's one of the better perimeter
You're
defenders.
comparing him to Tony Allen?
Also, both of those players played long careers. You don't get to play a long career as a starter without being good.
I'm not saying not good. I'm saying not like, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like if we're
What-
starting to
what-
do 7, 8, and 7s in the Hall of Fame, then like, what are we doing?
No, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's the only guy that could guard Shaq.
Yeah.
He shut Shaq down in that series in the Western Conference Finals.
He played one series against Shaq.
It was for the championship.
Pushes him to the
Ben Wallace single-handedly broke up the Lakers.
Yeah, that's true.
He
That's
single-handedly
very true.
broke up. They imploded the next year.
Actually, he
Very
should
true.
be in the Hall of Fame for taking like a team of literally 0 superstars to. the
I mean,
NBA
he's
Finals.
one of the Ben Wallace is one of the best defensive players.
Hey,
I've ever
they
seen.
didn't have zero
Like,
superstars.
I mean, Kevin, let's be honest. That year that they won the championship, they had the 4 starters for the Eastern Conference were all from the Pistons, and somehow Tayshaun Prince doesn't make the All-Star game. I don't know how he doesn't make the All-Star game. That was just the biggest snub in the world.
The
but-
thing with me though, I feel like they should. I guess he makes it in because he specialized in, like, he was very, obviously specialized in defense. I just look at career stats and see 5 points and 9 rebounds a game, and I'm like, if you told me that a guy right now in the NBA averaging 5 and 9 in an NBA game would be in the Hall of Fame, you'd be like, all right, like,
Well,
what
the
are we
game's
doing?
different now.
I guess, but like
Ben Wallace couldn't survive in the NBA
they would
right
just
now.
pull him out to the 3-point line. He wouldn't do shit.
Yeah, they'd let him guard Ben Simmons. He'd be fine.
That is true. That is true. I saw a montage of LeBron and who was it? LeBron and Kawhi guarding Ben Simmons. And there was one where Kawhi realizes halfway through that he's guarding Ben Simmons 40 feet away from the basket, like tight, looks up, sees it's Ben Simmons, and then just walks backwards to the free throw line. Just like, wait, I'm not guarding you out here. What am I doing? The disrespect.
So my last things last is staying also with basketball. The lovely town that I live in, Columbia, Missouri, they really love their Missouri Tigers. And you know what? When it comes to basketball this year, we've had a lot to love. The Tigers have been great. They've been top 25. Then they were number 10. Let's take a look at the last 3 games, shall we?
They've been terrible.
So they come off a 3-point thriller against number 10 at the time, number 10 Alabama, when Missouri was 18. Awesome. We now jump to number 10. We play Ole Miss, who's unranked. Ole Miss beats us 80-59.
Oh,
We then go and play Arkansas, who we had beaten pretty well earlier in the year. And we're still number 10 for some reason. And we lose 86-81. Okay, great. So then we drop back down and now lose to Georgia 80-70, another unranked opponent. We are now at number 20 with, if we lose again, for sure getting knocked out of the top 25 and losing better seeding in the tournament as each game goes on. Missouri, here's what I've seen. So first of all, Tillman has not been able to play. A death in the family. He's been out for a couple games. But this is a team that even when they're all healthy and on the court, free throw shooting has been abysmal. Anytime Tillman gets the ball and the game is close, they foul him because they know he's going to miss. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you get some of your guys that can shoot really well. They're getting to the line. They can't get. Drew Smith isn't sinking his free throws. So that's a big issue. Another thing, they're letting up so many more points in the second half. It's insane. They come out strong in the first half and look so good. And then the second half, it's like a completely different team. So unless Missouri finally figures out how to be more well-rounded on both halves, this team's an early exit in the tournament. And it's sad because they have a lot of talent. And after this season, a lot of that talent's going away. So I think, again, if Missouri doesn't figure out how to play 2 halves of basketball, it's going to be over quick, but it shouldn't be.
I mean, I am a giant hater of SEC basketball. I don't think it translates in the tournament. I think you get there, it's ACC, it's Big Ten, and then it's Gonzaga every year.
Yeah, but we talked the other week. Gonzaga's done by the Sweet 16.
Yeah. But
Which they will be this year too. Calling that again.
SEC basketball is just weird. I don't know why. It just has a weird feel to it, and you get to the tournament.
It's the Big 12 of foot. It's the Big 12 of football. Like they're fun to watch. They put up great things, but when it comes to the playoff time, they get destroyed. Like it's
and the last 4 games for Missouri is unranked 5-10 South Carolina. They need to win that one, of course. They need to win all these, but that should win. Okay. Ole Miss is 12-8. They have to play them again, but it's in Missouri. Texas A&M 8-7 in Missouri.
Are you allowed to go to the games?
Yes. There's like a limit, but
yeah, I figured there'd be a limited capacity.
Yeah,
that would be fun to go to.
Yeah, Missouri, and they end their year at Florida, who's 10-6. So it's like out of those, they should at least win 2 of them. But like they definitely have the team to win all of them. It's just, again, are you going to do the little things right to actually put yourself in a good position? And it's been tough to watch the last 3 games. So
it's just weird just seeing also just in college basketball, Duke and North Carolina just
so bad.
It's so weird.
Are they gonna make the tournament though? Like,
dude, I don't know
because there's so many teams in the tournament. It's just like
they're bad.
Honestly,
they're bad.
10.
It's weird. Like, I mean,
did you see the UNC Duke game?
Although MJ, this would be the year Duke like wins the title. They squeak into the tournament.
No,
No,
they're
man,
Jalen Johnson just
which I'm completely against. That is such a
he just opted out of the rest of the season.
he quit.
Really?
He didn't
Yeah.
opt out. He quit.
Yeah, he quit.
There's
get
a
that
bunch
right.
of there's a
It's like,
bunch
I'm
of players doing
Going
that.
to the NBA, probably lottery pick. Like, what am I doing?
When do we think Coach K finally is like, yeah, I'm done?
I don't think he honestly at this point in his career, man, I don't think he does that much. As bad as that sounds, like his
No, that's
name
true.
gets him. His name gets him the recruits. The offense is already installed. It's been there for 40 years. Like it's just teaching kids how to play in the offense and then sitting there.
And then
honestly,
they leave,
looking
and then they
angry.
leave after a year.
Yeah.
And,
Well, is
and
that
looking
Justin?
looking angry, and then getting angry at
He's
student
better than
reporters
Roy
for
Williams. Get
asking
outta here.
Way
questions.
better than Roy Williams.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
just
when
fine.
you when your starting five is literally top 50 players in the college players in the world, like you
He's a river.
don't really have to do much.
Apparently, you do because they're
Kinda like-
like,
Well, I mean, this
They're
is,
so bad.
I think it was a COVID season, but I mean, the fact that Jalen Johnson quit, that's not good. But I don't even I don't even want to see them make the tournament. I'd rather see a team we don't see ever make the tournament make a run, like Loyola.
Go Mizzou.
well, Loyola's freaking like number 23 or something this year.
No, but I'm saying like a team like that where like you didn't think they're going to be that good, and then they make that long. I'd
Mount
love to
St.
see a team.
Mary's.
Temple.
Or Butler 2 years in a
Butler.
row made the championship and lost.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That university's really
that's
wanting
Gordon
it, but-
Hayward for you.
We're gonna
Um,
see Duke just torch the NIT.
Oh,
No,
I'm
No.
betting heavy.
Coach K won't even allow them to go to the NIT. I'd guarantee it.
Probably.
Like,
Yeah.
We're not going to the NIT. And
Lacey
don't ask me
doesn't-
questions.
Lacey doesn't
Mom.
have 10 seconds of pause between each of his words. Listening to
Who
Roy
has
Williams
that?
talk about anything is an hour.
Oh, I don't
long
like Roy
conversation.
Williams.
Yes, you do. You're a UNC fan.
Yeah, I don't like.
He's
him,
the
though.
only reason your team's been relevant.
Oh, he's always
Yes.
on- Oops. Oops.
All right, boys,
That
this has
looks
been a
real
lot of fun.
hard. We gotta
Anthony,
get off
thanks
this
for thanks for joining us. Good luck, Eagles fans. You're in for a hellish 10 years, I think.
I'm not an Eagles fan
Um,
anymore. I'm a Colts
Wait a
fan.
minute. Wait a
so
minute.
thank you
I'll
for the
say this out loud
congratulations.
right now. Out loud right now. The Eagles and the Steelers will have a similar record next year. It's been said. I said it. It's happening.
Well, I mean,
That's
the organization's having a tough time trying to get Ben to negotiate
more
a
free
contract.
agents.
Listen,
Well, listen,
listen.
I'd rather have Ben and pay him $40 million to maybe play than pay no one $30 million to have
Yeah.
them play for a different freaking
and
team.
let me sign off by saying this. We have no idea what's happening there. Ben still might retire because Pouncey's gone. So we have no idea. But thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your week.